Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to GrizzlyBear Sims YouTube channel. Welcome back to Lone Star, and welcome back to Lone Star episode number 11. This is version 2 of the map, as I had expressed in the last episode or two. As I record this, and this is the 13th of May, this is Saturday morning, sort of bright and early my time, and also bright and early here on the map as well, as we are getting our day started here. This is version 2 of the Lone Star map. As I record this, version 2 has not yet been released, but you might remember that version 1 had been taken down from American Eagle Modding, and it is now back up, but it is over at PCSG. So you can get a link to PCSG down below my video, screen in the show notes section, and head over there and pick up version 1. Version 2 should be released anytime now. I think it's sort of gone into its final, maybe its final testing, or it's nearing its final testing phase. Whatever, it'll be released whenever it's released. It's obviously it's a fine map, and I encourage you to play version 1 or play version 2. I will just say that if you opt to if you basically opt to start playing version 1, you will need to go ahead and start a new game save whenever you go to version 2, because there are some differences that obviously will need to get captured with a new game save. So we are down here at the farm. It is a brand new game day because, as I had indicated the previous game day, our soil temperatures were not up to where they needed to be to basically be able to plant soybeans and or corn. Those were the last two crops that we have to basically plant. If we just look at our soil temperature right now, we're at 52 degrees. Our ambient air temperature is at 48. So it's a beautiful early summer morning, much cooler than what we would experience if we were really in Texas. I did go ahead and activate the weather file that Armakini created for Lone Star. I don't know how long it will take it to basically synchronize. It might not actually work until the following year. It may take that long for the temperatures to activate. Obviously, right now we only have plans to play this map this one season, so we will just have to roll with the punches. And the highs that we see there, Monday 69, Tuesday 69, Wednesday 73, Thursday 69, Friday 76. Again, these are very wishful temperatures for the folks that live in this part of Texas. In summertime, in July, August, and maybe even some of September, you've got triple digit temperatures well established there, with very high humidity. It's miserable if you're not used to it. So yesterday, just for our storyline here, yesterday was Big Bud Day here on our farm. We hosted the Big Bud tractors here on our farm. They were basically stationary, and we had both the Great Plains. This is a John Deere, so we'll keep walking. We had both the Great Plains row crop seeder down here, and we also had the new Seed Hawk, and of course we had the wonderful Big Bud 747 equipped out with dual wheels, dual tires there. And so this equipment was stationary here on our farm. As I said, we hosted this equipment here, and farmers from around the area came out and basically was able to take a look at this equipment. Kids from the local school came out and basically was able to take photographs with them of themselves on the equipment and next to the equipment and everything. Obviously, safety was first. With everything that we did, but everything was kind of stationary, and we did some demonstrations and everything out in the fields as well. And of course, all of this was co-sponsored by Mitchell and Borland. That's the equipment store, and by Lone Star Seed and Feed. That's our local feed store, and also representatives from like Cargill and Pioneer, and Atkins Feed Service and such were also on hand to answer any questions. We had a lot of farmers come down from around the surrounding East Texas area, as far away as Oklahoma, and Arkansas, came over to this area. And of course, farmers from all over the great state of Texas came in to take a look at this. And of course, as I said, Mitchell and Borland is going to be the reference customer for the Big Bud tractor and the Big Bud equipment and everything. And so we were very honored to be able to basically host the equipment, and we've been very honored to be able to use the equipment here on our farm. So I will tell you, it felt like we needed to take out a small loan to be able to even fill the Seed Hawk seeder up. It has a humongous capacity from what you might be used to using even on your farm if you're using some of the smaller equipment. And obviously here on this farm we were using a similar air seeder John Deere model that you might see parked there under the barn there. We've got it under cover because basically I think we're probably through with that for this season, because we do plan to go ahead and use the Seed Hawk to do our 2 soybean fields, and most likely we will use the Great Plains row crop seeder to do our corn. So we are going to get with it today. We've got a lot to do today in this particular game day, and well, let's just get things fired up. All right, hopefully we won't have any problems rolling over our dump point there. Things are a bit tight. We've got another tractor parked over on the other side there, and so at the risk of taking 5 minutes and doing what's right to move that thing, we just gonna go ahead and drive over that. So we are basically our two, and I will apologize if it's a little bit laggy. It's due to all the equipment that I've got parked around. Bringing the Big Bud stuff in around the main farm area along with everything else just kind of caused my frame rates to drop just a little bit. So let me kind of pop out here. I need to see where we're going to go with this. We're going to go down to field number 3. We're going to start there. That's our largest field. Well, actually, field 5 is a pretty massive field. That's going to be our corn field. So we're going to go down to field number 3 and get that going with soybeans. And of course, the field that's directly in front of us, that will be our corn field. And so yeah, I had a really big turnout here on the farm, and we were just really pleased to be able to host this. We were just really excited that we were chosen to be the host farm, and of course that's given us a level of visibility that we had not necessarily expected to get this early on. Coming in, I represent the investors that have basically come in and signed off on this project, and basically trying to restore some good old-fashioned wholesome agriculture to this part of Texas, and really enjoying the opportunity that we have to sort of serve as ambassadors to this industry and kind of get things up and going. So field number 3 here. Let me just double check this one more time with the map. Yeah, field number 3. This is going to be our soybean field here. So let's go ahead and get this massive beast here. We don't expect anyone to come down the road here, so we will get this thing unfolded. Actually, we're in the wrong thing. That's the seed there. So we will unfold this massive beast. And sort of coming out of storyline here and kind of speaking specifically about the Big Bud, sort of my impressions. I'm not going to do a first impressions video of this because pretty much everyone has done that, and that's okay. A lot of folks have done a really good job of putting that information out. I will point you to 2 of my friends, that did these types of videos. Farmer Klein obviously has helped you to understand 10 of the maps that are released or available right now for Farm Sim 17 that might be wise to choose for the Big Bud DLC if you're interested in using it. And then also he has a new series called Big Boys, Big Toys that's going to sort of focus on the Big Bud and some of the other mods that are available that are of comparable size, I would say, to the Big Bud. And then Eustace Farmer did a wonderful, wonderful review of the Big Bud equipment and sort of how it's all used. And it looks like our little seed cart's got the little wobbles this morning, but how it can all be used. And Eustace Farmer also points out that don't let the don't let the size of the Big Bud, or don't let the fact that the Big Bud is sort of an American tractor, don't let that spoil your fun if you would like to use this on a European map or something like that, or even a smaller map. I mean, Lone Star is probably not even big enough really to do this thing justice as our resident ducks fly over. Very good morning to those guys. So it's early in the morning, we've got a lot to do today, so let's go ahead and we've got to attach our PTO to the air cart first, so bear with me 1 second here. I am still sort of getting this manual attach stuff figured out as best as I can here as we go through the mud, and hopefully there we go. Get those PTO and hydraulic lines, all that other stuff connected there, and we'll get back in our Big Bud here and get after it. So we'll turn it on. And lower the Big Bud down, and we will do a headland or so across this end of the field, and then go down and do sort of the same thing on the other end, and then kind of go up and down. Make sure we're seeding soybeans, and we are. I feel really good about getting these in the ground. I think that what we're sort of banking on is, obviously we've planted a variety of crops, including the traditional wheat and barley and canola, and obviously we're going to have corn both for silage purposes as well as selling it as grain. But I really feel that soybeans are going to be our cash crop. No, I've not looked to try to predict if that's going to be the case in the XML or anything like that. It's just that in most parts of at least the country, the US of A, soybeans are starting to become a little more popular. They're becoming a little more, I would say, looked at as being a legitimate, sort of a legitimate crop. Not that they have never been, but that's sort of the case. And of course, you can't really back up this sort of apparatus here as our ducks come flying over, laughing at us, I'm sure. And I am going to have to do the right thing here and fold this thing up to sort of get myself out of this predicament. A map like, thinking back to the FS15 days, a map like States, a map like Graceland, if you remember those. I'll try not to drive in the already seated area here. Try to play a little bit more realistic, Jerry. Come on, man. Anyway, a map like States, a map like Graceland, a map like that would be the maps I'm sort of thinking about from the FS15 days that would be suited for this. Oklahoma would be one of those. Lone Star, I think, is probably just barely big enough. I suppose if you came in here with a bunch of with a few chainsaws or a few of the logging pieces of logging equipment and everything, those really nice ones, the Scorpion, that kind of stuff. If you came in here with that type of equipment and dropped these pine trees, you could basically you could basically create a little bit easier farming solution for you, or farming experience for you. I like the pine trees, and again, because we're really not planning on playing this map more than just the 1 year, at least right now. We'll see how it goes. It's possible that I will change my mind. You know, I honestly did not think that we would play Lawfolds for 2 years, and I think that kind of once I got into it, once we got most of the initial farm work done in the first year, the seeding and the fertilizing and everything, and of course the plowing, then it was sort of like, well, you know, we should probably go ahead and hang in there and do a second year, just for the simple fact that, well, you know, most of the hard work is done as far as the equipment is in place, and the fields have been plowed, and you know, this, that, and the other, and we've got a well-established operation going here, so we should probably do a second year. So I suppose I will just say, you know, I reserve the right to make that change if I so desire. So, you know, sort of I guess right now, let's just wait and see. So I'm curious if you own the Big Bud, and I know I asked you all this in yesterday's episode of Lawfolds, but if you own the Big Bud, how are you using it? I'm really curious as to what maps you're playing. I'm curious as to, you know, what pieces of equipment that you're running with the Big Bud. Let's put this thing into 4-wheel drive at least. That'll give us a little bit more traction. So what kind of equipment are you using? Are you using the Big Bud 747? Are you using the smaller Bud? Are you using this air seeder? You know, what's your impression of the DLC altogether? And of course, by the time you watch this, and you're watching this episode on Friday, the 18th of May, so the Big Bud has been out for let's see, 2 weeks by this time, I believe, if I'm looking at my schedule correctly. I may be wrong about that, but I think the Big Bud, by the time I've got around to doing this, the Big Bud has been out, well, for me, and again, this is Saturday morning, the 13th of May, the Big Bud has been out for 3 or 4 days now. And when I sat down to actually record Lone Star episode number 10, I believe I did this on Monday, the day that I thought that maybe Big Bud would come out that evening, because again, sometimes Giants releases their DLC or whatever on the evening, or it's available for me to download here in the US the evening before the actual release date. So that occurred with both the game itself, so Farm Sim 17 itself, as well as the Coon DLC. If memory serves me correctly, the Coon DLC came out on the Monday evening before the Tuesday official release day. So I sat down to record that. The DLC had not been released yet via Steam, yet other people had it that had ordered it directly through Giants, and I've explained that whole thing. So, you know, I don't plan to change my ways, even though I didn't get access to the DLC until on the official date. That's when Steam released it. It's not that big of a deal for me to have to wait, you know, 12 hours or 24 hours or whatever. You know, it comes out when it comes out, and you know, both with the Coon DLC as well as the Big Bud DLC. Now, of course, I might change my tune. You know, one of my most favorite pieces of equipment that I'm looking forward to is that big baler from Corona. If it, you know, I don't know, I have no official information if it will come out via DLC or not, but if it does, maybe, just maybe, I might be persuaded to buy that direct, but I probably don't. I don't think so, because I really like having sort of my eggs, if you will, in one basket, and having that through Steam, Even though, you know, you have to wait and everything a little bit. I need to kick my time up to 5x there. Having to wait is not that big of a deal for me, really and truthfully. Again, it's just a few hours, and I could not have used a Big Bud DLC when I wanted to record that episode anyway, just simply because our ground temperatures were not where they needed to be, and as a result of that, the DLC would have just sat on my hard drive and not been used. And to be quite honest, when the DLC did come out on Tuesday, and it downloaded it on Tuesday, that episode I recorded on Tuesday evening was, I believe, a Law Folds episode, and then I did not record again until I believe Friday, so yesterday, last night, my time, and that was a Law Folds episode. So this has really been the first opportunity, and again, it's just I got up about 6 o'clock this morning, and it took me a little bit of time to sort of get things going, get my coffee going, get the Big Bud DLC, purchased through the game and everything, and cheat the money in, because obviously, we're playing as if this equipment is on loan. So I purchased the Big Bud 747 with the dual wheels. I purchased this air cart, and then I purchased the Great Plains. And all total, those pieces of kit, so basically the tractor, this air seeder, which comes in 2 different pieces with obviously 2 different purchases, and then the Great Plains row crop seeder, that's over $1 million that you're going to have to either earn or cheat in or whatever to be able to bring this particular setup into your game. But well worth it. I like it. Again, if I had plans to do Lone Star, to do basically another year of Lone Star, I don't think I would use the Big Bud equipment here on this map. At least not really in earnest. I want to test GPS with this outfit here. So 25.6. Let's just double check this in the store, because now I would expect this to be spot on. 25.6, and it is 25.6. So we will run this row over just a smidge there. Let me look at that. I think that'll be fine. We want a little bit of overlap, because I'd rather have a little bit of overlap on that side than not have any at all. And so we don't need the offset, so we get rid of that, and we'll go ahead and drop that down, and we will engage, and off we go. Now that little John Deere Green Star sound, when I activate the GPS, I want to talk about that for just a little bit, because I spent, and I'm not, trust me folks, I'm not going to get back on my soapbox with this whole mod thing. I spent much of Law Folds episode 10 talking about this again, and I know that you've been hearing this for like 2 or 3 episodes, and I'm going to put my soapbox basically under my desk and basically put a stack of books on top of it, and try to prevent going there at least again for any sort of amount of time. But I do want to just say this, that an example of a mod that I dropped from my mod spreadsheet was the GPS with the Green Star, John Deere Green Star Sounds, I think is what it's called. There was obviously the GPS mod is a mod that has been released. Somebody basically added the Green Star Sounds to the GPS. So let me go back a little bit. Back in Farm Sim 15 days, we had these Green Star Sounds, okay? But you basically downloaded the sound files, and you unzipped the GPS mod, and you basically just overwrote the sound files that were part of that mod, okay? That's how we did it in Farm Sim 15. So in 17, somebody took the GPS mod, the current version, which I think is like 4.0.1 or something like that. They took that version and they added the John Deere Greenstar sounds to that mod, and they uploaded that mod to a mod hosting website. Now, I found out about this. Basically, I think somebody else that I had, wrong button. Somebody else's channel that I had been watching was using this setup, and I think they had that listed in their mod spreadsheet or in their mod document or whatever the case was. And so I just basically went out to that location and I downloaded it, much like, you know, I would do any sort of mod, and downloaded it, installed it, it worked. I updated my mod spreadsheet and I put that link on my mod spreadsheet. Well, that obviously that mod, that's an example of, perhaps, I don't know if they sought permission from the original modder who created the GPS mod, but because they didn't necessarily spell it out that they had, and that there's no proof that they did that, and there's no proof that the original modder basically is okay with what they've done, I decided to remove that mod from my mod spreadsheet. Now, what I did to be in compliance was I went out and found the FS15 sounds that are basically on Mod Hoster, and I just took the original GPS mod as the mod developer designed it, and I basically took the FS15 sound files, which are basically just, I believe they're just MP3 files, if I'm not mistaken, and I just basically overwrote that and then zipped the mod back up. So I made that change for myself. On the mod spreadsheet, I have linked to where you can go get the sounds for FarmSim 15 that will work in the 17 version. And I'm not going to do a video that's going to tell you how to do it, but I will just tell you that if you take the original GPS mod, if you unzip it and then look in the directory structure, you'll see 3 sound files. And if you just replace those with the FS15 Greenstar, John Deere Greenstar sounds, and then zip it back up, you can have the Greenstar sounds set up for your GPS. But you know, that's a good example of a mod that probably should not be out there. Just because somebody takes it and makes it, enhances it, yes, but still it's, and he does give credit back to the original mod author, and I'm sorry, I'm sort of at a loss for the name of that, but even though he does credit that, he doesn't, so this this person doesn't take credit for the entire mod. He takes credit for obviously adding the John Deere Greenstar sounds. It's just, I don't feel comfortable in leaving that mod active on my mod spreadsheet when I don't necessarily know if that original person wants his mod distributed that way. And I suppose there could be some issues with the whole John Deere Greenstar stuff if that is somehow copyrighted in some way. I don't know, but at least I feel I sleep a little bit better at night knowing that I'm not directing people to perhaps an unauthorized version of the GPS mod. So, love the Big Bud. Gorgeous looking piece of equipment. Just massive in size. I've got to say that yes, my opinion of this tractor, after having watched some real life videos of this tractor in action, well, at least a smaller version, because I believe there's only one Big Bud 747. So Welker Farms and such, I guess, is using the smaller version. Now, I'm not sure why the smaller version, why you can't equip that with duals and maybe throw a larger engine in it. I don't know what Giant's thought process of that was. I don't know if something with the Big Bud company, if there's some legal issue or something like that that they could not get around. I'm not sure, but you would think that they would have allowed the smaller version of the tractor to also be equipped with dual wheels, especially since in the real world it can be equipped that way. Obviously, if you watch the videos with the real life equipment in it, then you will obviously see that taking place. But yeah, so my impression holds. I know that I sort of did an about face. Initially, I was a little critical about, why the Big Bud, why Giants would do that. Clearly, that this is a sort of a tip of the hat, if you will, for American-based farming. And I appreciate Giants doing that. I appreciate Giants recognizing that they have a very strong and very, I think, very large fan base on this side of the pond, that their fans, their customers are not all just within Europe, just within the UK, just within Germany. I mean, obviously, Giants, I believe, is a German company, and so therefore a lot of the stuff that we see, this is sort of proof positive with the fact that so much of the mods, so much of the maps are, German influenced. You've got, there's a map, I'm not sure, can't think of the name of it just off the top of my head, but I know that there was a conversation that myself, Farmer Klein, and Doughboy2913 was having just a few days ago, talking about the fact that somebody created an American style map, yet everything is written in German. So, I know that there are pockets in Texas, there are places like Fredericksburg and Walsburg and such, where there's a lot of farming that takes place, and there's a lot of German immigrants that live there, and I know that they speak German, but you don't see German signs and all of that kind of stuff. So that's just the immersion factor. I think they need to kind of rethink that. But anyway, that's a completely different conversation. But clearly, this is a good indication that Giants recognizes the fact that a lot of their client base is here in America, North America, as well as potentially elsewhere, and that their customer base, even if their customer base is European, or for the European-based customers, they still want to play the American style maps, and they still want to play that with a level of immersion that to however they want to play the game. So I appreciate Giants for basically doing this. And if we think about it, 2017 has really been, and I realized that they had Westbridge Hills in Farm Sim 15, and that was obviously sort of an American style map, although it could be anywhere in the world as well. But they really worked hard to with Goldcrest Valley. I really think that is, they've brought in American style, the pickup truck, for example. Actually, the two pickup trucks that are offered in the game, both American style pickups, one older, one newer, and then obviously this DLC coming out here is also, very much Americana. So I appreciate that, being, an American, being a proud American, being someone who enjoys both British style maps. I will say that I probably prefer a British set map simply because of the language, perhaps. When it's done right, when somebody has done a British style map and they have put things in English, I probably prefer that over a map that's set someplace else. A lot of times it has to do with being able to even pronounce the name of the map. You know, my good friend Eustace Farmer, we set up our multiplayer server, the Dude Ranch, with a map that was based somewhere in Europe. I think it's Germany. I still to this day cannot pronounce the name of that map, and I know I'm not the only one. So, but all right. So we are at 30 minutes. We're at 30 minutes time, a little over 30 minutes time. And I'm going to start wrapping things up and just say thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you watching my channel. So what will most likely happen is, you know, we've been doing a lot of seeding, obviously, in the last few episodes. Clearly, I'm going to bring you back for another episode, probably Lone Star episode number 12, where we will use the big bud and we will plant corn with that Great Plains row crop seeder. And we will probably do that in field number 2, which is the field right next to our farm. That's going to be for silage purposes. And then off camera, I will finish this field out here in soybeans. I will plant the second field that we're doing with soybeans, get that done off camera. And then probably, so this episode and the next episode 12 will probably wrap up our planting season, if you will. I would need to do some work with our animals sort of off camera because they need some food and they need things like that. But we'll probably, the next time that we come together, episode 12, we'll plant corn. But then after that, I'll do the other planting and stuff off camera. And then when we come back together for episode 13, then all the planting will have been done. We may have to do some fertilizing or stuff like that, animals or whatever, but at least that will be done. We probably will need to get another mowing in this year on all of our available grass fields. So we'll probably do that as well, or a portion of that work on camera in an episode, you know, future episode to be determined. But I'm not going to go overboard with using this equipment, because obviously if you own this equipment, you're using it yourself, and if you don't own this equipment, you've probably by now, considering the fact that I am like 2 weeks sort of behind in getting an episode featuring the big bud equipment out, you've probably seen so many other people use this equipment that you're probably you know, just kind of burned out with it, and you're ready to see something different and something new, something fresh, what have you. But I said I wanted to use this equipment, and I wanted to use it because you know, I like supporting giants. I like supporting all of the software game developers, and DLC is a good way to do that because obviously they make a lot of money up front with the sale of the game, but so much of that is to sort of, you know, fill their coffers and everything so that they've got enough to be able to function and run on, so that they can start to begin the development of the next generation game. So in the case of 17 for 19, the DLC also kind of helps keep the lights on and everything, and you know, whether we acknowledge it or not, you know, life goes on and bills continue to have to be paid, and they can't wait from just whatever profit that they make off the sale of 17. They can't wait until they get 19 packaged up and sell again, because if they did that, well, they wouldn't be in business very long. So anyway, I like to support the companies with the DLC purchases. I like to use the equipment. You know, with FarmSim 15, I purchased the IT Runner stuff when it came out, and I don't think I ever really used it that much in FarmSim 15. I've used it some in 17, but I didn't want to more or less do the same thing with the big bud. So again, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you watching and coming to my channel. I appreciate you being friends with me and commenting and asking questions and subscribing and liking and all that stuff. So I really like this Big Bud 747. I hope you do too. Please, again, tell me if you own it, how you're using it, what you're doing with it, what maps you're playing, and all that good stuff. and maybe we can start speculating on what we think the next DLC will be as well. So hopefully we'll get news about that sometime, especially if they plan to release DLC at about the same pace that they have released the previous two. So thank you all so much for watching. Take care now. God bless you all, and happy farming. Bye-bye.